What's up, traders? And I'm back from holiday vacation. Took 2 weeks off, got a little busy there, but I'm back. My last one, I was, as you may have recalled, I was in a priest outfit talking about how bullish the priest of Bitcoin I was, how bullish it was. And now I come back with a bearish thesis. And the question is the party over? I know that a lot of people don't think that it is or doesn't want it to be, but I am one of those dirty, dirty traders. And I like to call BS on things where I see it. Maybe I'm modeling myself after, the characters you might have seen in the movie The Big Short. We'll get into that and why I have become so bearish at this point. I'm not full on bearish. I've got my long-term bullish thesis on Bitcoin. We'll talk about that target here in just a minute as well. But for right now, this thing that happened, this has been a very interesting week. It was an awesome week to come back to for trading, both, equities, futures, and for cryptocurrency. A really good Ethereum trade that I want to look at as a teachable moment. But right now on Bitcoin, on that daily, we'll talk about here in just a second, but that is the most interesting thing happening right now because everyone's looking at that 100K. We're back above it here this Friday evening. But let's talk about a little more when people filter in, and we'll get to talking. So fast forward to the start after the music, and I'll be back in just a second. Excuse me. What's up, traders? Welcome back. All right, so it's Friday. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate this. I'm going to make this a good one. This is going to be a good teachable moment because if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that the key indicator that I like to talk about is false breakouts or spikes, as I like to call them. And earlier this week, posted on the Discord because I just got back, this on Tuesday this week, there was an awesome setup, an awesome trade on Ethereum. I am not against going long crypto, especially in this time of the cycle, very bullish cycle that we're in right now for sure. And so Ethereum posed a very, very interesting and lucrative setup. This was a spike at 50%. We'll go into it a little bit. I want to use this as kind of like a separate teachable moment. I'll probably set this aside for a video to post on TradingView. And so this is what I have studied for many, many years. These kinds of setups right here, where you have price shoot down in a wick, you want whatever kind of candlestick that you want to call this very thin little candle right there, and then close back inside this red line, which is the Ichimoku Tenkan-sen. And so that is my trigger for when price goes really quickly in one direction and then snaps back in the other way. And so happening at major levels, like a major support or resistance or any kind of major level, like a volume profile level, that is the key that I look for, and I trust and stake my money on it as many times as I can find it. Doesn't happen every day, but when it does, I want to go for it. And I had a buddy of mine that was really looking to get long Ethereum. He's been looking. He contacted me probably over the weekend, this past weekend, and I said to him like, Ethereum, a lot of people have come to me and saying, hey, that's the catch-up trade for Bitcoin. I'm not sure what that means, but when I saw a technical setup, even though I'm kind of not super bullish on Ethereum, it's at least in the long term. Why am I not bullish on it long term? Let me explain myself in that way. Essentially, you got these recent major highs, back in March and in May, and then you've got the all-time high back in November 2020, which are not there yet. Yes, you're going to get some bullish movement in here, but it's not as bullish as, let's say, Bitcoin, right? And so when people come to me and they say, like, I want to get in Ethereum because, I want to catch it, because I feel like I've missed Bitcoin. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily the best thesis. But if I see a setup that I like, then I'm going to go for it. Because for me, trading is not about predicting the future. It's about exercising on opportunity, okay? And those opportunities come when you have these really short-term volatile events that tell you something has happened at a major level, okay? So let me just walk through this trade right here, and then we're going to get into Bitcoin. We're going to get into, and this definitely relates to what Bitcoin is doing and the recent trade that I was very public about, and which right now, yes, it does seem to be going against me, but that's okay. I'm going to go into the weekend with confidence on it, and I'll tell you why. So this is where price looked on Tuesday this week around 9:30, 10 Eastern, and 9:30 to about 11:30 Eastern time, or 8, depending if there's news in the morning. That is my most busy time. That's when I'm going to be actively looking at all markets to make sure that I find all the setups that are possible. And by the way, if you guys are joining, make sure that if you have any symbols that you want to look at for the last half of the live stream, post them in the chat. Post them in the chat. That way we can take a look at it, because I really like to use this time for opportunity generation. Okay, so let me get ready to publish this as a separate idea, because this is a good learning example here. So, all right, let's get ready. Okay, let me think about this. Usually, if you guys have joined me, this is you have to do it live. You can't do cuts, and so I have to record this start to finish live. So let me get ready. All right. Actually, let me clear the chart first. Nope. Clear, remove. Okay. All right. Here we go. What's up, traders? This has been a blah, blah, don't like that. All right, one more time. Got to have one false start. What's up, traders? This has been a really interesting week in cryptocurrency with Bitcoin getting over 100K, and looks like a lot of the altcoins are following suit. A buddy of mine last weekend was asking me how to get into Ethereum. And at first I was a little pessimistic about it, but I kept looking for it. And on Tuesday of this week, around 9:30 to 10 a.m., there was a setup that I really, really like and I study. This little indicator right here that shows a little highlighting on this bar. This is what I call my spike indicator. I don't charge anything for it because I think it's a very simple technique that everyone needs to know. And this is a perfect example of this indicator in action. What is this? This right here, and you might call that I don't know if you what kind of candlestick you call that. My brain's not big enough to remember all those different patterns, but essentially what I want to see is I want to see price break below a prior high or low and then close back inside it. So we have this part of the wick that broke below it and then it closed back inside that level as well as the red line, which is the Ichimoku Tenkan-sen. That's my trigger. But I can't just take these by themselves. They need to be in a confluence with key support and resistance levels. And it just so happened that the other thing that I stake my money on is 50% retracements. And from November the 26th to the high here on December the 1st, there we have a perfect 50% retracement touch on this spike at 35.0885. We're using the Bitfinex chart here, but let's see. Do I want to use that? Let's see. Yeah, we'll go with, oh, that's from my old thing. One second. Let me just switch to the trading view version. Right. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, same thing, but I like to use the index. I don't use Bitfinex anymore. So same setup, and what I really like about this, the indicator that I have drawn tells me where my stop should be, which is, of course, right below that low. And then it automatically draws me a 3-to-1 up to the high right here. And I want to make sure that this 3-to-1 risk-reward ratio is inside the major high. So essentially, I'm just playing, if you're a Elliott wave trader, I'm playing a wave. I'm playing a pullback and then back up to the top for this potential wave. And so it matches up quite nicely with this 50% level. Again, from that low to this high, a little short-term 1 week swing trading 50%. You get a spike that touches that level and go. Now, I didn't actually realize this until later on in the trade. I took this trade and I recommended to my friend to take it, posted it as well on social media. Can't mention it specifically for trading view rules, but there was one more thing that I didn't notice until later on. And this is one of my new favorite things. Well, I've been doing it for about over a year now, but volume profile, looking at the volume profile of a chart. And so what you have from this past period of time back here from March until June, those highs from earlier on in the year. All right, give it to me. Come on, TradingView. For some reason, it doesn't want to do that on. Yeah, okay, perfect. So if we take a volume profile of this area, this period in time, the point of control, in other words, the point where the most trading happened, the most volume happened, the price is also, wow, that same level. Again, I just traded based on the 50%, but now when I go back and look, I see that that was even matching mine. I wouldn't have necessarily gone in more, but that gives even more confidence this trade playing out. And of course, it had a few key levels from there. We'll zoom this forward, but it only took a few days to get back up to the top. And of course, now we're having a really big Friday here. I think we're up 6 or 7% on it. We're really kind of starting to threaten. I don't know if we're going to break it quite yet. That past high. Let's go back to the daily. Yeah, we're getting close to that high right here. But I wanted to use this as a teachable moment for what you can do to try to find bullish trades. Looks like we almost touched it. Did we? Did we touch that level? We did. All right. So as I'm making this, we touched that high. Who knows if we're going to break it this weekend? But it all sort of began, quote unquote, late into the trend, but with a very opportune setup to get in. And so this is the kind of stuff that I'm going to be looking for throughout any kind of bullish rally or bearish rally for that matter. I'm going to be looking for these opportunities, waiting patiently, being a little bit, pessimistic about it until I see something that makes me have to act. And speaking of which, just to kind of finish this up and put a bow on it, that is exactly what I have noticed has happened on Bitcoin. Bitcoin got up to 100K, broke it, and then it also did a spike of it as well. As we're coming into the close of Friday, it's starting to push up a little bit, but yeah, something has happened at this level. But we'll see how the weekend plays out. Hopefully, this, guys, helps and you learn something. We'll see you in the next video. All right. So, got that out there. What's up, traders? This has been a really interesting... Mute that. Okay. So, I think that's a pretty good segue. Let me leave that up and then bring up a new... Nope, I don't want a new layout. Oh, no. Don't lock up. I would hate to have to record that again. Okay. You guys gonna give me a layout? Okay, well, we'll save that one then, and we'll change this. Am I lagging? Maybe just a little bit. Okay. See if we can recover. How's the lag over there, chat? Maybe roboting a little bit. All right, publishing. Okay, here we go. Wolf, how come you did not use the fib as well for the take profit as well? So good question. Good question. Let's go back and look at this. So the first take profit, which I posted on Discord. And by the way, I can't mention Discord on TradingView and recording videos, otherwise they won't make it an editor's pick. The first ones that I used was I looked for basically the volume profile of this most recent high area, which it was going to start threatening. Oh man, it waits until the end of the year here before I start, or the end of the day here. And so I played a little off the high because, I mean, it is in bullish trend. And so the first profit I took was this 3-8-10. Okay. I don't really use fibs for profit target. Are you asking using like Fibonacci extensions? Is that what you're asking? I would rather, especially when you have past price action, I would rather use that past price action to find levels that it's going to be more likely to respect. So the first one I did was just playing off the high a little bit, that 38.10. Although there was a better one, and I'm still in halfway on this one. There was a better one, which was, I mean, now in hindsight, it's gone past them both. But the other one, which it did respond to a little more, was the volume profile of this past high. Now, notice what I'm doing. It's sometimes very annoying. I'm sure you've run into this where you have a take profit right at the high proper and it misses it. And so what I like to do is I like to say, okay, these bars that made up the high, what is the actual place where most of the buying and selling happened? And you can see that actually that would have been a good point to take profit back here in May, because again, it's at this volume profile of it. Didn't quite get to the high, but it definitely got up and definitely respected 1-2 times that level right there, that 39.51. Now, of course, it's up 7% today, but yesterday, Thursday night, was it Thursday night? It was Thursday morning. It got up and it held that 39.51 again. So it still responded and respected that level. So perhaps that would have been a little bit more of an aggressive target, but today was just been a kind of a good rally day, Friday, trying to get Bitcoin up and everything going in sympathy. But the only thing I really use fibs for is that 50% level. And it just works. It just works for me enough where I don't want to confuse myself with all the other different ones. And Fibonacci extensions, again, when you have past price action, I don't think, now when you go on to new all-time highs, then of course if you're going to use something, you can use Fibonacci extensions. But yeah, it's anyone's guess at that point. So does that answer your question? Oh, oh, I see what you mean. For short trades. Well, let's go to the Bitcoin here because this is kind of the topic du jour. Um, I yesterday when I made my post and I put on the trade, shorted from, well, I do with futures, 97, let's call it 500. We didn't have this green bar right here. This is what I call testing my resolve bar, because if we break the high, if we break the 103.971 high, then I'm just going to be wrong, and that's okay. But so often do I see a setup like that. Like, look, like this right here, multiple times in my years and years of trading, this kind of a pattern has emerged where you get to a major level, a past all-time high as it is. And Thursday, I don't know if you were watching it pretty closely, but Thursday, that's a Thursday bar. That's as a friend of mine said, and I like the term. I'm going to use it. This is a Darth Maul bar. So that's the new candlestick pattern that we're going to call it. That's what we have on Thursday of this week. It's a Darth. It's got the two lightsabers. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, and so that lower wick was really a late day phenomenon. In other words, price was already by about later in the afternoon, the close of business, on close of the U.S. market, it was already back inside that level. It was already back inside that prior all-time high, and that got my spidey senses tingling. It wasn't until later when you had this big sell-off, which people attribute to clearing out leverage longs, that you actually got that spike down. People are kind of confused. They think that I'm going short because of that spike. No, I'm going short because of the failure to really keep the buying pressure going up above 100K. And they're trying to do it today. They've been trying to do it. I'm sure that Michael Saylor is out there playing his Ponzi to get more people into it. Or not more people. I mean, he's just basically trying to pump his bags. The only difference between that and Enron, well, there's a lot of differences, but I mean, to their credit, it's not fraud because they're doing it out in the open. But probably this weekend, Monday, he's going to come back and he's going to say that they purchased a bunch of Bitcoin here today or on Saturday night when liquidity is very low to get this thing pumped up. We'll see what happens. But basically, before even this bar happened, that setup is one that I've seen again and again and again. Like the most recent example, not most recent, sorry, the most prescient example that I can recall goes all the way back here to 2021. You guys remember that? You guys remember the ancient times of 2021? Let's see, hang on, there we go. And so here we have the S&P 500 futures. And around that time, there was a high that was established as a daily chart on Friday, November the 5th, 2021. And then you had poke on November the 19th, the 19th, and the 20th, where price shot back up above it, trying to get above that level and failing. And that was the precursor for a pretty big dip into the beginning of the December. Wasn't the end of things, though, but it definitely showed a little bit of weakness. And then a little more subtle into January of 2022. Hold on. No, yeah, January the 4th. Hold on. It did something very similar, and actually had some questions on my Discord about this. No, actually, wait, it's not there yet. Yeah, okay. So you had another smaller example here. Why was I thinking on a 2-hour? I'm probably looking at a later version. There was a little bit more of a spike there in the morning. Trying to recall it. Was it a 4-hour maybe? Either way, you basically came up to an all-time high, pushed above it, and then failed, and down it went. There's a lot of examples, and that's kind of the corollary to the Ethereum long, the bullish spike from earlier. Essentially, people bought it up and then stopped buying. and that's at a significant level. And so I'm going to take this trade anytime that I see it because it's a sign of a potential reversal. And even though I did my live stream last week because I lost a bet about it breaking the what is it 70 something K all time high, you guys do realize that this party in Bitcoin is going to end at some point, right? It may end here. It may end at 140K. It may end at maybe 250K. It's not going to go to a million. And I don't really feel like I'm going to eat my words on that either because I've had this, my long-term bullish prediction, and you can find this in various forms across the internet. I mean, you can look at the updated rainbow chart, or you can look at other people's speculation. But people have noticed that over time, the highs are going higher, but at a decreasing rate. I mean, that's just if you're going to say Bitcoin is the best investment ever because it's up 10,000% in the last 12 years, then you need to look at what else the last 12 years tells you. It tells you a couple things. It tells you this, where it's experiencing diminished returns. And there's another fundamental reason for this too. It's a lot harder to take something from a 1 trillion market cap to a 10 trillion than it is to take it from a 10 million to a 1 trillion. And it's taking more and more money to get it up to these levels. And it's just going to be harder. And I know a lot of people will argue, well, strategic Bitcoin reserve and pro crypto Trump appointments and things like, yeah. But do you think that highs are made on bad news? I mean, there's a lot of positive news out there, and that is why it's rallying as it normally would if you have a lot of speculation for higher price. But you really have to you got to kind of put aside all this uber bullishness about it, and realize that things are it's the market cap is really what's going to keep it from doing another 10,000x run like I think a lot of people secretly hope. You're probably maybe going to get a 2x, or a point, or half a 50% increase from here between now and the beginning of the year, and so well now until into 2025, and then you're going to go through another minimum 70% drawdown. Why will it draw down 70%? I don't know. The last time was FTX, but also interest rates came up, and you no longer had the easy money that was fueling into it. There's two systemic risks in Bitcoin right now, and that is MicroStrategy doing what they're doing, issuing convertible bonds because they can't get loans of cash anymore. And you've got Tether. There's a lot of, well, there's always been FUD about Tether creating Tether out of thin air without being backed. I don't know. In fact, those two items will probably not be the reason that it fails because people are expecting it. But if you're going to cite Bitcoin's incredible returns over the last, 13 years, 14 actually, if you include everything to 2010, then you have to acknowledge that the minimum drawdown is going to be 70%. And so at this point in the cycle, when people are telling you, you got to buy Bitcoin, you're never going to be able to buy it again, just means that at some point you're going to be able to buy it for 26,000. If this is a top, may not be. Let's say the top is 300,000. If the top is 300,000, then you'll be able to buy it for 90K again at some point in the future. Probably, who knows? Even if you go all the way out to the end of the decade, 2030, you still have a low of this whole pattern that comes up to about 66K. And so there's no reason to be rushing into it. Hashtag we're early, bro. Wolf, do you think that the situation with ES in 21 is the situation with BTC? It pushed above today, but it may close down the next few days, which will cause a downtrend. Well, I mean, I'm betting on that. I mean, I have a short position going into it. I'm also been doing a lot with MicroStrategy puts as well, which I'll talk about here in just a second. Won't go into too much on it because it's gotten a little complicated. I'll try to explain it. It shouldn't be more. Nothing should be harder to explain than an 8-second elevator pitch. Because I'm being critical of Michael Saylor about his interview that he did, where He was interviewed by CNBC, and my God, just the things that he was saying screamed Ponzi. Because anytime somebody tries to explain to you something using financial gobbledygook, it's really the case of trying to dazzle you with bullshit rather than, wowing you with true acumen. Wolf, that setup, the reason I brought up the S&P 500, the ES futures in 2021, is because it's just another example of where price gets bought up and then it gets slammed back down inside of a key level. And that becomes a powerful potential reversal signal. What's up, Zishan? And that happens a lot. I mean, as I kind of showed on Ethereum, on a short-term time frame, 30-minute, this spike to a major level was a trigger to go up. I don't take every one of these that come up as an indicator. Excuse me. I only want to take, because it'll fire a lot. You'll find a lot of these spikes. Okay, this is just volatility most of the time. But when it happens at a key level, and it's really just kind of the sentiment that happened on Thursday of this week. I went out to let's see, was it Thursday or Wednesday? It was Wednesday. Excuse me. So the Wednesday bar started at in the GMT time. I think it was like 17, something like that, and that was when it pushed up. So I'm out to dinner with some friends, and I wasn't even really checking until the next morning. I didn't even look at Bitcoin then because I've been waiting for something interesting to happen. And for me, I mean, for a lot of people, it was. And if you go through Twitter, you'll see, or any social media, you'll see all these exaltations of it breaking 100K. Michael Saylor posting about having a 100K party. And then when I looked at it finally in the morning, it was already back inside. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Or Thursday evening, excuse me. Thursday towards the end of the day, it was already coming back inside. And so as excited as everyone was, you just didn't have that sustained buying. Now, a lot of people that are super bullish, they're going to take a look at this down move right here and say, oh, well, that was just market makers trying to clear people out so that they could buy more Bitcoin. Maybe, or there was just not enough people to sustain it. It was a big stop run that happened, and a bunch of leverage long. I mean, a bunch of leverage longs got wiped out. Basically, is what happened. And now it's starting to kind of creep back up. Maybe it's going to be a little more organic. We'll see. We'll see going into the weekend. I think for sure, Saylor's going to take some of that money that he is creating out of convertible notes, which I don't know who's buying these convertible notes. I almost wonder, I'm really amiable to the conspiracy theory that Tether themselves are taking his convertible notes and then using that as backing to issue more Tether. That's the conspiracy theory that I really like. I really think that is very likely and very interesting. I don't know how it's going to blow up. It may not for a while, but we're not really talking about Bitcoin as currency anymore, are we? It's all about that number go up. Yeah, I'm pretty content saying that in the history of finance, these things always end in disaster. It's just a matter of when and from what price. I mean, it's a game of musical chairs, and I'll play. I'll play with you guys. I'll play with you guys when everything looks the most awesome it is. That's when I, as a contrarian, will start to play ball with you guys and call BS. So that's what I'm seeing, Wolf. I'm just basically seeing a simple pattern that I've seen many times before. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter why. People bought it up, and then it got slammed back down in the same bar, and that's where we are here. So we'll see how it happens, what it comes to on the weekend. So MicroStrategy is, of course, the driver of price. There's that. Hold on, let me find, where's that meme? Oh, let me send this to a buddy of mine. Hang on. My friend who doubted me told people not to short wants me to shill our Bitcoin meetup. So might do that. Let me find that meme. Where is that meme? Oh, here we go. So this is MicroStrategy, and this is the meme. So essentially, what MicroStrategy is doing, just to kind of rehash, they're doing what is unironically called the infinite money glitch, where they issue convertible bonds. What that means is they will convert into shares. In other words, they promise people shares of their company at a future date in exchange for cash now. So they're getting cash with an IOU of shares with the promise that they're going to take that cash to buy Bitcoin to put on their accounting books, which will inflate the value of their shares. Thus, the convertible notes that people buy from them will be worth more later. That's the kind of circular thing they're doing. They're getting money from people by promising them a future Bitcoin-backed stock, and then they're buying the underlying to get that price up to make their share prices go up. It's a cool thing, and they love to call it the infinite money glitch. And throughout this whole last cycle where we are right now, Michael Saylor's been constantly throwing billions and billions at the top, trying to keep pushing that price up. I think he thinks that he's going to get to a point of inflection where he's bought up all the supply and he's cornered the market of Bitcoin. We know there's limited supply. We know there's unlimited dollars. We'll see how that works out for him. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. But I have decided to call bullshit. And I've called bullshit based upon that interview he did with CNBC. You can, let's see if I can pull it up here. Let me play it for you just really quickly. Hang on. I'll find it here in just a second. It'll take me just a second to find it. I saved it as a bookmark. We'll play just all you need to hear, or all I needed to hear, was just a few minutes of it to really kind of understand. Oh, hang on a second. Didn't like that. There we go. All right.
Bitcoin near $100,000. It's at a high of about $99,500 yesterday, but MicroStrategy, the said, it's been a big.
I think a lot of people don't understand our core business.
What's your
We're
core
a
business?
Bitcoin treasury company. We're powered by a Bitcoin reactor. We've got $35 billion of Bitcoin, and it's spinning at 100 vol. So the way we make money is we're selling the volatility and recycling it back into Bitcoin. And we're also stripping the volatility and the risk and the performance off of fixed income securities. And we're transferring that to the common stock. So our common stock is delivering 2x Bitcoin, 2x vol. So Andrew, if you want to understand the economics of this.
Basically, their shares are already worth twice as much as Bitcoin they have on their books. That's what he meant by that, by the way.
We generate a spread. The BTC spread we generate, it's a function of the
functions. Ooh, we're getting into calculus here.
The equity premium, the convert premium, and the Bitcoin premium. The Bitcoin premium is the ARR Bitcoin versus the US dollar. 2 weeks ago,
what's AUR?
We did 4.6 billion of an ATM. We ran it at a 70% spread. That means we made about a $3 billion BTC gain in 5 days. That would be about $12.50 a share. But over 10 years, that's $36 billion, or about $150 a share, just on that 1 week. This week, we did a convertible bond, $3 billion at an 80% BTC spread. That's a 2.4.
Okay, let me ask. Do you guys know what he's talking about? Can you tell right now what his business is? What exactly? They're stripping volatility. They're creating a Bitcoin spread. They're doing ATMs and like is that automatic teller machine or asked something else? Either way, I just wanted to kind of get that out there and let people listen to the word salad around it. And later on, the interviewer doesn't call him out. Like, the interviewer doesn't say, like, hey, that sounds real. I've interviewed a lot of people before, and they have all kind of tried to befuddle me with these words. He's not critical at all, because I think CNBC and the mainstream stuff. It definitely has buy-in for Bitcoin now, which people take as a good sign. But yeah, it's really just designed to have that exact reaction that I got from it, which is, what the hell is he talking about? And anytime you think that someone else is smarter than you, and therefore they are better off with you just giving them their money, it's the same concept to me as people that try to sell these copy trading scam services. It's like, oh, you're such a good trader. Let me just give you my money for you to trade it. And I'm sure that, you're just going to be so much of a better trader than I am. Just here you go. That's what he's asking people to do. In fact, later in the interview, the guy asked him, well, should people buy Bitcoin or what should they buy right now? And Michael Saylor did not say buy Bitcoin. He said buy our bonds. So it sounds to me like he's in the Ponzi business and the business is good. And so I wanted to say no. And so what I have is it's a big tranche of different tranches of MicroStrategy. One second. A big tranche of MicroStrategy puts going all the way out as long as I can to 2027. All right, so I've got bought puts at everything at different strikes here. Basically, I look for certain price points, and you'll notice that I have a red position right there. That's because I've been selling the premium against it very far away from strike, because the IV, the implied volatility, is very, very huge. I know I'm sounding like someone that's doing the same thing, dazzling. Let me simplify it. I'm betting that they're going to blow up. I don't know exactly when, but I'm using my knowledge of options to own long-term puts, long-term bets that MicroStrategy is going to one day between now and 2027 blow up spectacularly. And to keep myself from paying too much, I am using my skills of option trading to basically get paid just a little bit every day. So he's doing his thing, and I'm doing my thing on top of his thing. And so that's how I can become copacetic with what he has done to the possible potential of Bitcoin, because I don't like it. Yeah, I do have a bias against it. I think that Bitcoin should have been a tool for human freedom, not just a simple get-rich-quick scheme, which is what it's ultimately, unfortunately, become. Little fun thing earlier this week. This was on Thursday, which it was at the open on Thursday. This was when Bitcoin made its big spike above 100K. Undeterred, I used this little opportunity to also buy a few more of those puts because look at what it hit right there. A 50% level in conjunction with a volume profile level of this big rally from November. Just wanted you guys to see that. Good little tradable level on that. So that was a cool thing. So this week's been very interesting. Ethereum, MicroStrategy, and of course Bitcoin. This has been the week of crypto to be doing some positions going from now to the end of the year. So yeah, I'm having a good time. Made some on the Ethereum, and we're going to sit in the weekend and then sit in the long term, see what happens with MicroStrategy. But let's look at symbols you guys want to look at as we're getting into the last part of the live stream here. If you got symbols to look at, I got something from Zishan. We will do it. Okay, we'll look at it right now. We'll get it in. So Toby, oh man, Intel. Hold on, I'll get to you, Zishan, but sorry. So I had some really good hope. I took a trade on Intel. I grabbed it at 21.47 back in October when it bounced off this level here. And I thought that was going to be a really good buy. And then I added a little bit to it at 23.94. But then this thing's just been slowly creeping down. It could be coming down to do maybe a second bottom, but I don't like what Intel's doing here. I think it's still at its 20-year low essentially, but I don't know if you saw this or not. Not that I don't really go into fundamentals that much, but their CEO retired, And this was what I got. I use quotation symbols because, I mean, frankly, it's got to be really stressful having such a big company. You're just not able to get it going. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's way smarter than me, really, 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 really wise about all things chip manufacturers, and he lamented to me that the whole chip chip maker product cycle of tech is sort of like a 3 year from R&D down to from research and development to launch, and it can take 3 years to like turn a company like this around. And so that's what Intel is basically facing right now. AMD is still hanging out at this 140 level, which I think that's a good level to hold. But if I already own a lot of Nvidia, and of course I'm pretty happy that I do. It's been doing some kind of concerning little dances again. Nvidia did what Bitcoin did. Wolf, you were asking about another example. So let me clean this up a little bit. So this is a daily chart, and it did a spike on earnings of let's see, November the 11th, and it has not quite recovered. Now this is kind of a weak spike, and I don't want to go short Nvidia, but I don't want to go long either. And I really kind of worried about some of my friends that told me they were buying. They didn't ask me. They told me they were buying Nvidia after this little rally we had post-election. But my tries to get into Intel on this leg up are really not starting to pay off. And so you really kind of have to believe in it. I like the company because the technicals are failing on Intel right now. And so I've had to cut some exposure to Intel just because I want something to go for me. But AMD, I think you're good to kind of hold on to that. So honestly, it's hard to say right now. I when people kind of come to me and ask me about chip manufacturers, I'd rather you just look at other things because I don't see a slam dunk. Intel was looking good, not so much anymore. All right, let's do Z-Shines real quick. ELF. I bet you this is something we looked at before. So looking pretty good. Make sure, yeah. That's coming up. See, this is what we would have wanted to see. Just a slow rise up. This is a daily chart. Looking pretty good. Did that hit a volume profile level there? Sorta. It's kind of loose there. It's going up, but it's not really following any patterns that I'd like to see on ELF and Ulta. Do you want to start the Becky index again, Zishan? The Becky, investing in things rich women buy. The Becky, Becky. That was a huge thing up until 2020, 2021 and 2023. Ulta had earnings pumped up. It looks pretty good. All right. Hey, what's up? All right. Dow. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, I did not want this to happen. I'm serious. Wednesday this week, another crypto-based thing. My favorite cryptocurrency, the only thing I really think I can call cryptocurrency, in that it's cryptic, that it is it's untraceable, which is what I think cryptocurrency should be. It should be an actual tool for personal freedom, not just personal wealth. It had a big, plus 20-30% rally, which sucks because I don't want this to be super volatile. I rather enjoyed this is 3 years of Monero here. I enjoyed it being a stable coin. I also enjoyed being able to tell people that every time it hits 140, it's a good buy, which it was. But now it seems that it has moved into another range territory. And like honestly, when I talk to about it, I say treat it like a stable coin, because people actually use Monero. So that's the difference between it and Bitcoin. Nobody uses Bitcoin. I've been asking people this question: sell me a Bitcoin right now. And these are people that they'll say, "Oh, Bitcoin is money, it's superior money." It's like, no, it's not. It's like, yes, it is. I was like, okay, sell me a Bitcoin. And they're like, oh, okay, here. And they pull out their phone and they try to sell me like $100 worth of Bitcoin. I was like, no, that's not what I said. I said, sell me a Bitcoin, one Bitcoin, a full one. And sometimes people have it, sometimes they don't. I know some people that do, and these often are some of the most vociferous people that talk about how it's superior money and all these other frou-frou things that are just no longer the case. They're no longer the case because nobody uses it. Why do they not use it? Because they think it'll be worth more later. Now, how can you have anyone use money that they think is going to be worth more later? And so, of course, inevitably, especially now when everyone thinks that, it's in a big rally, it's super bullish, it's going to go up to whatever, no one's going to sell me a full Bitcoin. And that's important because that makes you have to really consider the emotional pain, the opportunity cost that would be associated with giving up a full Bitcoin right now. That's a big number now, right? You're not willing to part with that Bitcoin. And that demonstrates that Bitcoin is not going to be used for anything else other than number go up purposes. There's not going to be a point in time where it is not volatile. People are not trying to manipulate it now and trying to make the price go up so that everyone will be richer. It's not going to change. It's not going to change at this point. This is now the end use case of Bitcoin, which is I don't want to call it one of the P's. I don't want to call it a Ponzi. I don't want to call it a pyramid. It's its own thing, but it's superior number go up technology. It's not going to be money, but Monero is money because people actually use it on the dark web. But I digress. I think probably now, as these days and weeks go along, we're probably going to establish a new range, essentially, where Monero is going to range possibly between, let's say, 180, 182, and 217. We're going to see if this develops, but that's going to be another point where I'm going to start trying to I accumulate this as a private form of wealth. And so basically now we're just going to come to a new accumulation zone. So I'll keep you guys updated with what my thoughts are on that as it develops over weeks and months. But Monero didn't miss out on all this bullishness. I just hope that I'm very glad it stopped where it did so that we don't have a ridiculous amount of volatility, because you don't want this. You don't want this. You may think you do. You think you want it to double, triple, whatever, like Bitcoin, but then you're just going to inevitably come back and you're going to be cut by 80%. Volatility is a double-edged sword, and I've been very content with the slow appreciation of Monero, knowing that it's out there, holding its value, slightly appreciating, maybe having an instance like this. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. So, what's your take on? Go back to Zshaw. I just kind of put a bow on it. You should look at the old Becky index. You should maybe that's what you're looking at, but look at that index and go look at some of those symbols in there. Maybe put it together again. If we kind of discount the constant drone of the economy is going to crash, and I say constant drone because it's a constant thing. People are always saying that. I'm very, I've been trading since 2013, basically actively every day looking at the markets, and you will go through these long multi-year periods of just appreciation. It's just market goes up, and so the idea that luxury goods, luxury brands are going to do well, I can definitely see it. I can definitely see it as a good thesis. We're already too late to jump into the Santa Claus rally. It's already started. It already started basically back on November the 19th. So I'm actually having not really added anything in this little rise up. This is where it's getting dangerous. But really, the Santa Claus rally, as most rallies begin early, started back in November. Right here, that 50% drawdown. All right, let's look through these. Let's wrap things up. So yeah, we want to look at. You wanted me to look at Elf and Ultra, or is that the same screen name? Delta. I got an alert for Delta. Oh, okay. So this is kind of a weak spike, but that's a good call, Wolf. Good call, Wolf. This is another example of where you have a all-time high break that looks like it's starting to fail out. The little nuance to my indicator, if you notice here, I have something that says ATR clearance. I only want to take trades that have a greater than 80%. And what that's basically measuring is the distance from that high to here. So in other words, that from 66.25 up to 67.43 is only 64% of the average width of the bar. So it's not that big, as opposed to Bitcoin. It was 110, so that fits my criteria for going for using that spike. And then of course the Ethereum one from earlier this week, it was also another high value, 147. So that's a little rule that I have for there. So, but this is definitely something that you want to keep an eye on, though, if you're a long-term holder of this. But yeah, go Delta. It's looking pretty good. Is it? Yeah, it's all-time high. So we'll see. LRCX. If I miss anything, let me know. I'm going down the list. So this is on a daily. Let's jump out to a weekly. Is that at a 50%? I think it is. Yeah, that looks good. Nice little breach and hold. Ooh, I like it. You got yourself some a lot of confluence here. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. Yeah, I like it. I like it for a 50%. That's good. That's really good. I'm gonna make it. That's on a weekly, by the way, too. So I keep on promising this, but I really want to set up a live stream portfolio for you guys to watch. This would be one that I'll put in it. If I can put a pin. Because it fits my rules. And if it doesn't, I know when to get out. But we're all kind of dumb, aren't we? Shouldn't we be buying Bitcoin since it has the best performance all year? And it's going to, by what we're told. Why are we spending all our time on stocks, guys? I'm being facetious. Sort of. I gaslight myself about that all the time. All right, Intel just fired their CEO as well as the plan. Okay, so Wolf, it's up because their plan was going to take too long. It was going to take around 3 years. Yeah, exactly. Wald, what do you do in the last 2 weeks? How come you didn't do any videos in the last 2 weeks? I was traveling down to Florida. I went and saw Mickey Mouse. Spent some time with my girlfriend's family, both her grandparents. Yeah, so that's. I have what people say is financial freedom, and so I can take 2 weeks off and just travel. So yeah, but I'm back. I will not be doing a stream probably on Christmas, the 27th, but you got me for at least 2 more weeks. I'll be here. So thanks for messing me. I appreciate that. Pfizer. Pfizer. Yeah, that's. I already closed out my Pfizer trade for this year. I put it on at the beginning of the year at 28, and I closed it about I think 26. This was, I don't want to buy into all the FUD around RFK Jr. being appointed, but it definitely technically destroyed the trade, and so I cut that one. Yeah, I want winners. I only want to keep winners. And speaking of that, this was another video that I made. Again, this is the exact same thing as the Ethereum trade that I talked about in videos past. So do you guys remember November the 4th, this 30-minute spike on Tesla? 50% risk retracement, which was also a gap. I haven't really made that a rule. I haven't really made that I need 2 confluences and a spike. But man, you remember that Ethereum we talked about earlier in the live stream that I made a video about, which I need to post? It had both a 50% and a volume profile level. Then a spike there at it. So this was a 50% retracement at a gap, spike, and yeet. Okay. And it then had a little fake out right here, a little bearish spike back on November the 25th. But it's Tesla. Do you guys remember Tesla at $100? You remember when it hit 100 and it kind of languished around and got back down and all that kind of stuff? Do you remember when Tesla, everyone was gonna short it? No one's gonna buy Tesla's EV was going the way of the dinosaur. Do you realize Tesla's almost back at its all-time high again? Just this. Conspiracy theory me thinks that they had the media did not like Elon buying Twitter. And I remember specifically this period of 2022 and onward into 2023, just constant negative articles about Tesla cars, Tesla self-driving, and Elon Musk himself. But don't bet against Elon. Never bet against Elon. You guys, if you can, try a Tesla self-driving. It's actually quite amazing. I just want people to know that if you ever wonder, everyone knows that eventually cars are going to drive themselves, right? We are there. There are some minor issues that they're working on now, which is like I need to like actually back out of the parking lot and then like maybe go to the exit of the parking lot, but not for long. That's coming in version 13. I just haven't had it rolled out yet. But Tesla, that's been a big winner this year for sure. All right. But not Pfizer. I say that to just kind of make myself feel better about Pfizer, because this is the kind of stuff that I don't want in my portfolio. I don't want losers, okay? And Pfizer is a loser. I'd rather just keep my Tesla, get rid of it. I'd rather hold my winners, get rid of the losers. And Pfizer's unfortunately been a loser this year. So PayPal. I've heard PayPal has been doing well, but I haven't really checked it. Yeah, it's going good. It came off of the lows right there. I've been saying this when people have asked for the last few live streams. It's bullish on the weekly. It's doing a bullish Ichimoku breakout. It's bullish all the way up to 180. That's where the 50% of this whole leg down. That's the only. I mean, yeah, I might stop somewhere before then, but that would be what I would target. So there's probably a little bit more. There's probably some more long-term oomph left in PayPal. PayPal is one that you keep. Rivian. Rivian is one I have a small position in, and I'm just kind of holding on to it there. This had a nice little run up to 15. I think you just kind of have to sit and wait on this one, because it does seem to be just slowly kind of grinding down. Made a little bit of a higher low. I don't know. I've got like 100 shares of it just because a friend was just to have some exposure. That's such that I don't care about it. Here's another thing that I only had like 200 shares of that I wish I had more. Palantir. So it also, the reason I bring up this in juxtaposition to Rivian is because this area right here, back when Palantir was in single digits, I'm going to give a caveat to this, okay? That's kind of the same thing that Rivian has been doing here, but don't think that this always happens. Don't bag hold thinking that everything's going to be this, but just, good God. I need to have this. See, I haven't even looked at this. I own such a small amount, I don't care. But now it's actually it's actually some decent money now. Jeez. We had a really good friend that we traded with. That he was just a huge Palantir bull, and he was trying to trade it with options, and just kept on getting himself killed. He had just super bullish anticipation about Palantir, but he didn't buy shares. He insisted on getting these like 1 month out options. And guys, you got to own shares for this reason right here. Like I think I see less and less of the option stuff that I did, back in 2020, the COVID years. But I tried to get back into options. I know a lot about options. I've traded options before, but when I did them, I always did like 3 months minimum options. Give stocks enough time, like a quarter, because stocks operate, they move based on quarterly cycles because of earning cycles. I wouldn't even think about taking an option less than 3 months. It'd be like a 3 month minimum to a 6 month to maybe a year. And yes, they're more expensive, but you can get a lot of benefit from that, especially when a stock gets moving. That'll make up for all your losses. But these short-term options, man, and he was so bullish on Palantir, and he finally just quit trading. He quit the entire business of trading. He quit trading earlier this year, about spring of this year. It had gone up, and I think he got pissed in February when it started doing this, and he just quit. He just quit trading because he'd been so bullish on Palantir. That was he even named his Discord handle to like PLTR or something like that. And he quit. He didn't own any shares. All he did was play options. At least that's what I remember. And rip, dude, pour one out for you, man. Sorry, dude. Just learn from that, guys. Like, if you like a company, if you really like it, own some shares, preferably in your IRA, preferably in your tax advantaged account, and then just be content. Like, oh no, you'll only make 6% in a day. You'll only make 240% in a year. Oh no. Oh no, such horrible gains from owning shares. Yeah. Wind moon. Dude, we're mooning right now. Everything's mooning. 2024 has been a great year. It's been a blowout year. We're in the middle of it. Coca-Cola. What's my old Coca-Cola doing? That thing that everyone should have. Ugh. So I cut down my exposure on Coca-Cola. This is a weekly chart when it started doing this because it kind of did fail. It did fail this all-time high break. I picked up a bunch. Let me just clean this up. I picked up a bunch back on this little perfect little dip right here. Back in 2023, at the end of 2023, it hit it. Same thing with Met. That's why it's on my list right here. MetLife in 2023 did that little 50%. And then where's my Coca-Cola? I think I took it off because I did cut the size down a little bit. But yeah, it hit it there and did a little rally, but now it's coming back inside. It's not dead. It's something you want to have some of. But that trade, as it were, that long-term 50% level trade, that you have to take some profit on as it comes back inside. Because look, it's what you'd want to see is this thing have held the prior high and then gone back up. That's what you want to see, okay? And it's just not doing that. So probably what you're going to kind of do is you're basically back inside this range. Let's do a volume profile of it. So this range, we'll start back here. We'll do the whole COVID thing. No, let's do COVID and forward. Probably won't change that much, but let's see. Yeah. So oh, look at that. Perfect at the pre-COVID high. There. So yeah, you got your pre-COVID high. You got your volume profile level at 60.22. This is going to try to get there. And so once you realize that, take a little bit off, see what happens there. And we'll see what kind of dance it does around that level. But probably Coca-Cola's coming down to 6.22. Coca-Cola, I mean, hey, look. I mean, they're not going to go away. They'll still be paying you dividends. But as for trade, it's kind of played itself out from October 2023. So, all right, KC and HUT. Last ones, get them in. Is it S&P Healthcare Index? Oh, it's KC, sorry. I didn't even talk about the fun stuff. Oh, coffee. Oh, man. Is it coffee? Or was that a stock? Coffee. Oh, man. My coffee is going to cost more. KC. Kingsoft. Well, hello, Rich. Doubting Debbie. All right. Yeah, coming off of lows, pretty good, and then we'll look at more. I got a few fun things to look at real quick before we get done, because I guess you guys have probably heard about the scandal with Hawk 2. That's good. Yeah, these are good. Come off lows. I like it. So I wanted to find the symbol, but I couldn't find it in TradingView. I think that maybe you have to use some kind of a different platform for it. But let's see, where is it? Yeah, this is. So keep an eye on this just for entertainment value. So the Hawk Tua girl basically launched a meme coin and rug pulled. She didn't rug pull it. I think that most people don't give her the credit that she was able to figure out how to make a meme coin. But definitely. I'm not even sure how many people actually lost money on this. Are you really dumb enough to buy this? Maybe. But CoffeeZilla. CoffeeZilla has a really good video about it right now. If you want to kind of go into it, his content's really good. Where he actually popped into the live stream when they were doing their launch to tell them, "Hey, you guys realize this is a scam, right?" And yeah, surprised by no one. But that was interesting. I was going to use that for humor, but we got into more serious stuff. So, all right. That scandal, actually, it's a scandal. I don't even know if people are being serious about it, to saying that they lost money, because it's almost like if you lost money to hawk to a coin, I really think that you deserve to do that. I think you deserve to lose money to that. So, anyway, all right. Thanks for joining this Friday. If you're in the Atlanta area, look on meetup.com for a meetup about Bitcoin, which, let's see, where is it? Yeah, it's next Wednesday. What are you doing on Wednesday night, Rich? You know that's my night for doing stuff. Okay. Anyway, Rich, am I on this panel, or are you you're gonna have a panel that doesn't include me talking shit about Bitcoin? What are you? Is this like kind of like a low key way to get me to come? Up to me? Okay, we'll see. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. We'll see you later next week. Bye bye. Trade wisely, guys. Don't trade like me.